side.
Thank you.
Mhm. Let me also share the screen so that. Okay, so mm, yeah, so today we are going to discuss about data migration tools, in which we have so many tools. Third-party tools are also available, just like MuleSoft and Informatica, the Bhumi. There are also some tools are still provided by the some other softwares that they will do data migration. And the thing that are provided by the Salesforce are the data loader, dataloader.io, data import wizard, data extraction. These are the few tools that are provided by the Salesforce to do the migration, data migration. But all of this, in all of them, you have to some sort of knowledge about the Excel too. So it is a you have to some sort of knowledge about the Excel, because you have to some management over, because whenever we are doing the data migration from one org to another, or from legacy system to the Salesforce, or from Salesforce to Salesforce, whenever these kind of things it is going to be happen, it's always done in either in a CSV file or in the Excel file. The CSV file is the most common one. Means is it is a it was used in every of the tools. Means any of the tools you are working on, they use the CSV file. And for the data migration, what are the data migration CSV files you have? You all know that these are the comma separated values. Means all the values are in the comma separated, and rows are in when you press enter in the next line, they have we have a values over there, so something like that. So these kind of thing are done by the means so CSV file is the most important file or to use, which is used by all of the tools that are available. And so some of the tools that are provided by the Salesforce are data import wizard, uh, data loader, and dataloader.io. These are the three things that are mostly available in the Salesforce. Apart from that, we have also MuleSoft, Devboomi, Informatica. I think GearSet is also doing the data migration. There are some tools are also available. So let's first we extract the data from the Salesforce, then we upload the data into the Salesforce. We will going to do that, something like that. So let's start with, let me log into my org. Yeah, first we will learn about the data export. It is used to export the data from the Salesforce data into a CSV file or in Excel file, and we can do in a two-way. First, either we export it current, means just click on export now, and it will start exporting the data. And we have another option called schedule export. If you want to schedule your export, then it will do also. Means uh, every month in a year, something like that. Means it will export for a month, means each month, one time in a month it will export. So let's start the export now. A question will also come up from it. That's why data export wizard. So I will do export my account data, and this is for the, if you want to include attachment and images, include the files and this system. If you checkbox, then do this. And let me export the data. It's taking some time.
Schedule export is for automated report, right?
Yeah, it's a
For automated reports generated, automated report every month, for example, the amount of revenue.
yeah. No, export is to not export is to just download all the data in the server related for that object. If we schedule that object, just like I just click on the account and click on export now. So it will create a CSV file, and then all of the account reports will be all of the account data will be downloaded. It's taken out and sent over to me.
So we cannot filter what we need to
No,
want to export.
we cannot filter. If we really have to filter, then we will also talk about that.
Okay.
So this is the way how it will take time. Suppose we need to filter the records and then do the export. Then we have to take a help of report. You remember we have studied about the report and dashboard. In that we will take a help of that. So we will filter the router record and then click on export. Yeah.
So if you follow the schedule export, so it's a kind of backup, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of backup. It will take monthly backup of the data.
We can we upload the data in case the object is the same object with the destination, right? For example, account is an object. You are trying to get an extraction for that object, and the object, the destination object, should have the same properties, right?
Yeah, destination also have objects will also have the same property. Yeah, correct. So just like I need to export the data, adding some filters. So for that time, we need to use the reports. Just add some filters and there it is. You have to save it and then. Yeah, you can see there's export. Yeah. If you click on details, it asks for that CSV file or XLS file. Means XLS is Excel file, means Excel format. In formatted report, it's it's put all, means it's some give formatting over there. Means whatever the formatting are over there, it will be applicable. And then if we have just comma separate, if you just have to values, so we have to use the CSV file. So in this way, we just export the data from using adding some filter. Here is my filter is my account. Instead of that, I will use all account. No, it's not showing. Created date. Let's put a created date or just remove the created date. All time. Not sure. So if I export formatted, it will export in something way. And if I export in a CSV, it's still not opening. Responsive. Yeah, you click like it's something. The thing that you are seeing up here, it's formatted all the things, and it's it looks like cool. And when we download as a CSV, then it does not look
Raj,
like
could you
cool.
share your second screen also?
Could you?
Second screen.
Oh, let me. I share the desktop. Now you can see.
Yes.
So this is the formatted Excel file. And you can see it is a cool. Means as you are seeing that over up there, it's showing something like similar to that. Means what you are seeing up here, it's showing the same thing here up. See here up. Sorry, same thing. But in the CSV, it's quite not, because the CSV is only used to uploading data and downloads. It's opening. No, it's only just only the table rows and columns. Only these things are showing up here. And let me open in an editor. I'm going to open that in an editor. Where is that? I'm opening the CSV file in editor. You can see this, all the files are in comma separated. Means first row is for the header. Means what will be the header of that exported data, and then we have a comma separate since the last activity date is null. So it's coming a blank. Then we have account owner, which is Kamsura Singh, then account name, Edge Communication, then billing TX, and something like that. Means all the, and after that each inverted comma, you can see there is a comma that will separate the data. That's why it's called a comma separated values, means CSV. That's why you call it. And this file is only used to export the data. Only used to export, means actually it's a comma separate value, so easily can be exported and send it over to Salesforce or any third-party tool to import the data. So this is the most important file. Mainly this file is used for the data migration. And so whenever we have to do the data migration means that we have to move the data from either from the legacy system to the Salesforce or Salesforce to Salesforce. Whenever we have to do and we have to do that data migration manually. Manually means we have to download the data and then put the data in a file, and then use some tools and do the data migration into the Salesforce. So whenever we have to do something like that in a manually, then we have to take the help of CSV file and do the export or import. Let's go back to might be our export. It's completed because it's taking time. It's too much time consuming. Yeah, now it's completed. Let me download it. Yeah, you can see it's also created a CSV file, name as account CSV. If I double click it, it will open all the account details. Now I can see all the account details are coming up here.
Yes, Siraj, in what case we are gonna need this information, exporting all of the objects details?
In which case, usually when we have to take a backup of the record, then we use the data export. Only for taking the backup, we are using the data export.
You mean when you say backup, it's like saving it just in case
Yeah.
lose it?
Yeah, saving the record so that might be some other thing are going to be happen, or we are doing some, means whenever we have to take a backup means you can use it, and means might save that record to be as a history, because suppose I want to we have a history, means we have a history of the system. Means suppose I don't want to include the previous year details to my next year details. So what I can do, but I can and I want to keep that details in my some other system, because storing the data in the Salesforce will make costly. When storing the data into the Salesforce is a costly thing. So usually what when we have a lots of data, so they what the person can do that the all of the history data means might be there are some accounts are getting closed, but still they want to keep the data, but there are some accounts are closed, there are some data which are not in use in the future. Whenever we have such kind of data, we just export all the data using data export result, and export all the data and keep in some other system and delete it if we want to delete it from here. So we can delete the records from the system, from the Salesforce. So usually this data export wizard are used to for using for used to take a backup of the system.
Okay, but don't we have any version control system like Git?
No, we don't have any version control system.
But at
For the
some
version control, we need to use some other tool.
that's interesting, because even if, hold on, I'm just confused here. Sorry about that. So there are a couple of developers working on the same project, and one of them do some changes in the same project. How are they collaborating between the differences they do? There is no
Uh,
version control, because
yeah, there is no
people
version.
work on the same thing, right?
Mhm. So for that, what they have to do usually whenever in a or we don't have any version control. So what we can do that before doing any before doing any migration or deployment to the org, we just take the backup of the org and compare our code. We compare the things, and if and move only those changes that is our changes, means what will be the our changes, we can move only that changes, and we just copy and paste into that changes and then move to that, something like that. Means usually we need to take the backup and then compare the changes and then do the migration.
Okay.
These kind means we need to use whenever we have to do the whenever we have to do the deployment, then we have to deployment of the means usually developer are working on the code, not on the data. They are not working on the data. The data is only important for the production, not for the any apart from the production. Data is not so much important, so there is no issue with the data. So usually when the developer is working, they are working on the codes, and when they do the deployment, if the some two developers are working on the same piece of or the same object or no, on the same code, so whenever developer one uploaded and after that developer two uploaded the same code, so developer two uploaded their changes into the code, so what it will do, it will override the developer one code. Okay, it will override the developer one code. So what it will, as a result, that only developer two code will present and developer one code will gone. So in order to not not going into this situation, what we have to do that usually, because usually we don't find any means what we can say version controlling in the org, means they are not still some of the org I got that they don't have a version controlling. So what I have to do, I just before making the deployment, I just copy the or take a backup of the code and compare my code, and then paste my changes again to the code and then do the migration. So these kind of things we have to work on. We need to
So
compare the
Mm.
existing systems.
on GIF, we are doing rebase before before pushing. We are pulling from the master on the Git.
Yeah. So when we are using the Git, then we are doing something like we are pushing the details from the master and doing the changes, something like that. But when we are some of the org don't have this kind of functionality to use the Git in the Salesforce. So at that time, what we need to do that before making the deployment, we just suppose I was moving the class A to the some Salesforce org. So before doing that, moving the class A into the Salesforce org, I just take the current backup of that class A and compare my code with the class my class A, and the what are the backup I got from the class from the org. I compare the code, and only then I will just put their code and paste my changes in their code, and then move their code to the org, something like that. Means usually do we have to do that backup and then move the code by copy pasting.
It's
something
more
like that.
painful than
Yeah, yeah,
working.
it's more it's more painful. Okay, so we had take a look at that how we take the means data export wizard. Data export is only to do two things. First, either it will export currently, or it will do export on the monthly basis, and it will export in a CSV file. Means the format of the file is a CSV. That's the thing. And what's the other thing is that. And when if we have to do some filter, then we use the report for the exporting the data. Apart from that, we have another tool called data import. It will now these two tools, what we have learned, it's to export the data. Means whatever data present in the Salesforce, it will export the data into the third party system. Yeah, got it. Means it will export the data into the Salesforce. Data import wizard is to import the data. Means if you have a CSV file, you have to import the data into the Salesforce. So what we have to do, we just have to go to the setup and type the data import wizard, and it will come up here. Now we have to click on launch wizard. Now here it is asking for the which object we need to export. So since which object we need to import, sorry, which object we need to import. So I just click on account, contact and leads. What we need to do, either update the existing records or add a new records. So what I'm going to do up here, I will update the existing records. And what is the format of my file? Whenever we are doing the updation, we need to match the records with some criteria. So I will do that. Here it is asking for the three fields: Salesforce ID, name or email. So since I am updating the records in my and my updation of the records, I don't have ID field. So I can use the account name for matching. Usually whenever we are doing the export, we have an ID field, but since we don't have ID field, so what I will do, I will just update these two records, only these two records, and billing state updated, and then next and see updated, and I hit this, I save this file, and I will use this file to update the as communication and Burlington Textile to be whose billing city will be updated to tx updated and nc update. So I will match the file with via email, via name. Sorry, it's matching for the contact, so I'm not updating the contact. It will update only the account, and then it asking for the we will discuss whenever we are trigger the workflow rules. Is we have to workflow rules we have to trigger. So that's the asking for that, and assigning all the contents to the campaign. That's a different thing. Then we choose that CSV. Choose file. This one. And hit the next. Now it asking for the mapping. These details are coming from the CSV header. You can see a last modified and last activity, account owner, account name, billing city. Since I need to update the billing city to the billing account billing state and provinces, I use that. Account name will be account name and type will be type. And those are unmapped, leave it is, because we don't need to update that thing, because we need to update only the billing city on the basis of account name. So these two fields are important and these are automatically mapped. And then it's showing me some example that from the file, it's showing that this is the file. So I just done the mapping, and if you need to change, you can click up here and use any other field. So instead of account name, I can use the person account or some other fields. So it will match with the both fields and then do the mapping. So I will remove it since the account name is matching. So and then I will hit the next. And this is the conclusion. 3 fields are not included. So I don't issue with that if the fields are not mapped. Only map field are important. Now it started. It will showing me that and its status is completed. So either we can see that view result from here. It's showing me the result SV. Both are get completed and it's got success true. Now go back to my account, and what's the name of that account is Burlington. What is the name of the account is Edge Communication. So I'm going to the Edge Communication. It's not updated. It's also not updating. Both are not updated. Okay, let's again go back to my data input. So what happened? Oops. Account to record fade. Now it's saying me completed. Let's do again. Might be something got missed. Name and site. Okay. Sorry, I haven't checked that. Update the existing account information. I need to check it. Might be that's the issue. We'll leave it as yeah, it's now updated. Yep. Billing instance. So in this, I just forget to click on the checkbox, so that's why it's not updating. So what it will do, what you have just seen, that it's used to update the fields, update the account details on the basis of a name, and we just updated it. Suppose we have a situation that these fields are not accurate, means the header are not accurate. Let me say you, some might be your legacy system have some issue that the headers that are generated by your legacy system, it's not correct. So let's do in that way. Suppose in my legacy system, instead of account name, it's showing that person account name, or instead of billing city or a provinces, it's type here, it is person state. Yeah, and we have a type. I just giving it only two as an example. So I just save it. Now I have to do such kind of import where header are not similar to the header that are present in the Salesforce. They are not same as the header is present in the Salesforce. So at that time, it will not do the auto match. So let me show you. And also let me make some changes so we can find that update to save it. Save it. Okay, and now I'm going back. Choosing my file. Next. I can see that now since the name of that header is not exactly same as the any of the field present in this account, so any of the field present in the Salesforce account, so it will show as unmapped. So what I have to do, I just click up here, map, and then find the account name and map it, and then a person state, I will change it and find the STAT, billing state and provinces, and then map it. So why I'm showing this example, that whenever we are generating this CSV file, since it is generated by the Salesforce, so there is no issue. It will create the header correct, accurately. But suppose if the CSV file is generated by some other system, that might be a legacy system, might be some other Salesforce org, at that time, what it will do, the headers are not same as the fields present in the Salesforce. So what I have to do, that we have to map manually and then hit the next. I check the, or no, I check this update. Yeah. Again, I mapped account name and then state. Next. Okay. Status is completed. If you have a lots of records, then it will not complete it, and it has a limit of upload only with 50,000 records at a time. So data import in Wizard has a limit that it will upload only 50,000 records at a time. Yeah, now it's updated. So this is the way how we are just doing the data import. Means this is used to import the data from other system to the Salesforce, or it is usually used in the data migration. We have to migrate the data from one system to another system, from one Salesforce org to another Salesforce org, or your legacy system to the Salesforce org. That's the thing. Usually done by the data import wizard. And we have one more thing, data loader. Yeah, data loader.io, it's used to do the data loading, okay, data migration, and it's a work on the more than 50,000 records. Means it's you can upload as many as data at a time. So we can do that. And one more thing. So you need to first log in to the Salesforce.
Suraj,
It's a free-
in real life, what kind of data we are gonna be loading? Because everything is saved in the database.
In real life, we are loading the data usually when you have got a new org, or means suppose person is recently moved into the Salesforce. So whenever there is a means it's an initial setup. Means usually the data loader or data migration task will come up as an initial setup. Means whenever they are just come up and just do the start using the Salesforce. At that time they have a legacy system, or they have any other system that have some data, that has might be some data, but that have lots of data. So at that time we need to move that data to the production org of the Salesforce, so that start work is utilizing the Salesforce.
Understood. Yeah, great. Thank you.
During that time we need the data migration. Mostly we use during the whenever we just started the what we can say the Salesforce. It's the initial setup to the Salesforce. Those who are not working in the Salesforce and they have a big data backup, they have a big they are still running in some other software and want to move into the Salesforce. So at that time we need to do a data migration. So usually when you got a new you or your company got a new project that is started just recently start working on the Salesforce. So in that project you have to do the data migration. Apart from that, during the current running project they did not do the data migration. And there is a one more situation that might be the person who are using the Salesforce, they are also using their legacy system because they are not what we can say that they are not fully comfortable with the Salesforce. We also get the situation something like that. They are not fully comfortable with the Salesforce, so they are still using their legacy system or any other system for their customers. So what we have to do, we need at that time we need some third party tools that will do the automatic data migration, just like MuleSoft. MuleSoft will do the automatic data migration. Means we just do the connection between their system to the MuleSoft and MuleSoft to the Salesforce and schedule it. So it might be in a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis. It will export all the data from their legacy system and import the data into the Salesforce. So that kind of thing or also comes up in terms of data migration. So that's the thing. So usually data migration is only at that place when we just started the Salesforce. Means a company just move into the Salesforce and they have some and that company is currently working with some other technology and or any other system, and they have some data, and that data must be moved into the Salesforce because they are going to start Salesforce for the customer, and their data is important for them. So without data, how can they operate? So in that case we use the data migration, and we have so many tools for the data migration. First, for to export the data, and second is to import the data into the Salesforce. So that's the thing. So
Thank you, Suraj.
okay, it's a demo. I don't want to use the demo. New task. Here is we have one more option that we can use the delete. Usually we don't see any delete option in data import wizard. It's only to import the records. Yeah, means we are slowly means what are be the problem we are facing. We move to the next thing. Just like in the data import wizard, we have just capability to create a records and update the record. Okay, and it has also a limit that it will only upload up to 50,000 records at a time. You can see it has a limit that it will upload 50,000 records at a time. So that's the limit of the data import wizard. So since it is a limit, so we will move to the next tool if we have a such if we have to move more than 50,000 records at a time, yeah, or we need to delete the data, then we don't use the data import wizard. We will move to data uploader.io. In that we can find up that we have a import section, export section. It will also export the records, so it is more powerful than all of the tools. So it will also use to export the records and import the record too. So from 1 or 2 years ago, data loader, it's not an online site, means it's a tool that is provided by the Salesforce. You can just click over there and it's get downloaded into your system, and then you have to work on from that system. It's an offline tool, but from 2 years they have developed their site so that we can do the data migration using an online tool. So what I'm going to do, that I will import the data. Here it will ask that what I need to do. I will going to update the same records. Choose the account and hit the next. Now what I update, yeah. Now it's asking to choose the CSV. You can choose the CSV from any of the system, FTP, secure FTP, Dropbox, any of the system. So let's make some changes in the, so that you can see it's updated. I will make some changes. Via DL. Data loader. I can save, and now I'm going to choose my CSV file. Yeah, it is. No, it's the thing is always same, means how how the data import wizard is working. The same is the data loader is also working. Means we will choose the objects, then we choose the CSV file, then we do the mapping. So here it asks for the mapping. I will select and put the account name same, and it's a person states. The auto map thing will automatically showing up here, but whenever we have to do some mapping that is not or map with the standard Salesforce fields, then we have to do a manual thing. So yes, okay, then I hit the next. Okay, and it has to be mapped on the basis of, I forget. Once the demerit, it's that whenever we are updating the records on the basis using the data loader, then we need to have a ID, Salesforce ID in that export tool. Salesforce ID, it's an important thing for that export. So what I'm going to do, that where is the report, in the report I will just extract the ID too, so that we have an ID. Now in the first row I will see there is an ID. So I'm going to here, and now I'm going to export. Let me open into some editor. Okay, I open it now. In the first row I can see that I have an ID. So, and then let me update it by DL. And I think this pyramid construction does not have a state. I will add the key, hit save. Now I'm coming back to my Self-host data loader and it's the next. CS, I think, which one? Let me delete the, what is that? Okay. Something how it can be. Okay, the header since I exported from the record, sorry, since I exported from their reports, again the headers are comes up, so it's no issue. Either you can change, you can just map. I hit the next. Now you're asking for the Self-host ID. It's, oh shit. I just click somewhere else. Let's do it. Yeah, it's ID automatically mapped. So it automatically find the ID and match with that. Now here it's asking for what we need to, either we schedule it. So in how early it will do that, take the data and export it to the Self-host, or we can do daily, monthly, all those things all this time. And we can also take the batches. Batches means it will export, it will it will do the migration in a 200 records per request, means 200 records will be uploaded at a time. We can increase or decrease the amount, and then we have an option that we can check. So whenever this upload is completed, it will send an email. And we have also that what should be the date format, means the date field that we are using, what is the format of the date. And if we are making request to the, since it is making a request to the Self-host server, means it's using the request to the Self-host server to importing the data from this system, from the data loader server to the Self-host server. So whenever it is doing such kind of thing, what will be the timeout for that? And then we have to insert the null value or no, something like that, screen numeric value or no, something like that. So this thing, and then whenever we had save to save the mapping and then do the upload after some time, it's only for that. Or we just use the run, then it will do. It is in queue, it is working, it is never run because I just by mistake I just hit and save, that's why. So it's updating, and whenever it's completed, it will show me. Okay, it's completed. It's showing 3 success, 0 errors. And let's go back to my this and let me refresh. Yeah, you can see it's updated via DL. I'll just think that I put it over there. So this is the way how the data loader is working. Data loader, it has so many functionality. Once you are take a look at that, you will find. But right now we just to know that how we are working with the data loader. What is the capability of a data loader? So that's the important thing. What the data loader can do, what the data loader it's designed for. So that's the thing. Whenever, means usually whenever Self-host got a limitation, they produce a new work on new tools, just like they did. They designed the data import wizard, but it has a limitation that it will either update the records or create a new records. And it has a limit that we can upload only 50 records at a time. So these kind of limitations over up here. So what can I do that we just, instead of doing that, we just move to the data loader. Data loader has no limitations. It can do as many as record at a time. It has also has option that you can schedule that import or export, and you can also delete the records. And the process is always the same, just like you have to just first upload your CSV file, then do the mapping, and then either schedule that thing or run at an instant. So
Suraj,
this is
sorry, sorry for interrupting. How do we get into the data loader page? This the other page, data loader.
yeah, you have to just, in the setup, you have to just type data loader.
Yeah, I got there, and then it shows me download something. I did, but I couldn't get to the page that where you are in right now.
Okay, you might be you are at this page.
Yeah.
No issue. Or you just directly open the dataloader.io, this site.
The same thing?
There's no issue. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Or search in the dataloader.io in the Google and you will reach at this page. No issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, it's a link for the offline tool. Means, remember, I just told you that there is when you click on that, it's something get downloaded and you have to work with that offline tool. So that's a kind of data loader. But right now we are not going to use that. Means system just means all the offline tools are usually depreciating right now. So that's why I don't want to talk about that thing. You can use the dataloader.io for the data migration. It has a powerful tool for any of the tool available. Means it has more capabilities than any of the tools available.
Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Siraj, quick question.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
You said for data loader we need an ID for the record, but
Yeah.
for data import wizard we don't need that.
No, we don't need. We can create an ID on the basis of name. Means it can also find a name as a uniqueness.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Means it's an optional thing. It does not. We don't need it. We can use that ID too, but name is also a thing that we can use over there. But for the data loader, we have only two things. Either we use an external ID or we can use the ID.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Suraj, in the case of data wizard, data import wizard, let's say we have 7 fields and we want to create a new record or new account. So all the fields should be mapped, right, for that case?
No, the thing is that only required field should be mapped. Required field is an important thing that should be mapped, and it doesn't need to all the fields should be mapped. If those fields which are not mapped, those values are not get populated. Else the fields which are mapped, only those values will be populated.
Oh, okay. So and number of the mapped fields depends on your wish, right? If you want you can just map as many as the fields you want. Okay.
But the required fields, in case of insert, the required fields are important. So you need to map the required fields too, else you will get the error that required field is missing.
Okay.
Suraj, what's the difference between data loader and MuleSoft?
MuleSoft is a totally different thing. MuleSoft data loader is a product of a MuleSoft. Means it's a small part of that. MuleSoft is used to connect anything to the anything. It's used to connect. it's a bridge between you can connect MuleSoft to means you can connect anything to anything, something like. But data loader is only to connect the CSV file with the Salesforce. It's or you can say that a very small part of a MuleSoft is called as a data loader. It just had capability only to upload CSV file to the Salesforce, but MuleSoft is a more powerful than it can connect the Salesforce to Salesforce. It can connect to any third party domains, your legacy system to the Salesforce. There is so many capabilities under MuleSoft.
Suraj, the MuleSoft is a transition from the legacy system to Salesforce, or it holds data as well?
MuleSoft?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's holding the data. Usually it's just like act as a bridge. It will take the data and push the data over. It's not holding the data, because we just need to create a connection. We don't need to there is no system that will it's not holding any data. It's not holding the data.
Okay.
I think it's an API. We have similar thing in our company. It's communicating connecting two different systems.
Yeah, it's just a connection, not a place where we can hold the data.
Break time?
Yeah, it's a break time. Okay.
Coffee time.
Coffee. Yeah. Okay. Come back after 10 minutes. Bye.
Okay.